Hey there, friends and enemies, JoPa here again, and with some of the recent buffs in episode Revenant of Destiny 2, I wanted to give my spin on a Peacekeeper's Huckleberry Titan build that I've been really enjoying. And one of the things I'm really focusing on with this build is also going to be Transcendence, which I'm going to be able to pop quite a bit. Not only that, but I'm getting my super back pretty often as well, so I can essentially have either Transcendence or my super up at basically all times, and that really helps for ad clear as well as damage to tankier targets when you are dealing with higher power level difficulty content. And this one's a lot of fun. A lot of times you'll see that some of these SMGs fall a little bit short when the enemies start being a bit tankier, whereas with this build, that is no longer the case. Now, first off, we have the Peacekeepers with the Armor Perk Mecha Holster, which now says, while wielding a submachine gun, handling airborne effectiveness and movement are all improved, and damage against combatants will increase the longer you remain on target. Submachine guns are reloaded when stowed. So that's a 1 damage buff that we got there. Then we have the change to the Huckleberry Catalyst. First off, we have the perk Rampage, which obviously increases the damage as you get kills. Then Ride the Bull increases rate of fire and recoil while you're holding down the trigger. Final Blows reload the magazine. So again, once you're getting kills, it's very, very effective there to reload the magazine, get those damage increases. But you also now have the Huckleberry Catalyst, so sustained damage to a target emits a shockwave that damages any nearby targets. This includes the target that you're aiming at as well. This is kinetic tremors, if you didn't know. And that really combines to melt tankier enemies as well as just random red bars. So once you build up the stacks of Rampage, you're reloading your weapon, you're maybe using something like a grenade launcher. I'm using Undercurrent as well as Bittersweet in this build in order to get the weakening effect with the artifact for this build as well, so you can weaken an enemy and then just lay into them with your Huckleberry. Hold down the trigger, absolutely melt them. You want to make sure you have some faster reload speed for this as well, just because you won't always defeat a target with 1 mag. But as far as the actual subclass, I am running Twilight Arsenal. It's still very, very good. Transcendence is nice because you'll not only be jolting targets, but also suspending them as well with the Electrified Snare, which I really, really enjoy. Then we've got the Thunderclap. You can swap this around. I just like this for a quick heal when I need a little bit of health back. And then also you got the Glacier Grenade. Now I was running the Consecration. Now I wasn't using this all the time because I do like the Thunderclap. So you can actually swap this for Diamond Lance. I think would be more effective with this build at higher level content, especially not leaning into Consecration as much. And then you've also got the Knockout. Another option, and the reason I like this build, is you could swap out Unbreakable or Drenger's Lash. So any of these different aspects would work just fine for this build. It just depends on your playstyle and how you want to rock it. But that's one of the nice things, is it is very flexible. Fragments. This is one of the key ones. Facet of Grace. So defeating targets with kinetic weapons, which the Huckleberry is, grants you bonus Transcendence energy, and defeating targets with your super grants bonus Transcendence energy. So between those two, I am getting my Transcendence back very, very quickly. Obviously, kinetic weapons already get a bonus to Transcendence as well, which is also quite nice. Facet of Command, so that way whenever you freeze a target, that's why I'm rocking the Glacier Grenade, you will get the Stasis Shard and also increase weapon stability, all that kind of good stuff. Protection, so that way you get the additional damage resist, which is always nice. The Overshield that you'll get from Facet of Purpose, and then finally Facet of Ruin, so that way when you shatter a Stasis Crystal or do a Solar Ignition, that's where Consecration will come in handy. That's where you'll get a little bit of that bonus as well for Facet of Ruin. Now, some things to keep in mind with this build is it is quite flexible, as I mentioned. So when you're looking at your secondary and then power weapon, I was running Undercurrent and then Bittersweet. Undercurrent just to keep the arc synergy. I like that a lot. Plus, when with Volt Shot, it's actually insane. And then I really wanted to run the new grenade launcher for the season called Bittersweet, which is very good as well. I don't have a good role for the new dungeon grenade launcher, so that's why I'm not going with that one quite yet. As far as the artifact perks that are important, some of them actually are not going to be as nice as some of the other builds that you might be running, but there's some that you might want to keep in mind. Hail the Storm is very nice, so when you shatter those stasis crystals, you get the shards of ice that damage and slow, which is awesome. And then concussive reload, so whenever you use a grenade launcher, including the wave frame, you damage a champion or a boss or anything like that, you will weaken them, which is huge. And then some of the other ones that I think are pretty effective are trace evidence. So whenever you get rapid final blows with targets affected by Jolt, you'll get some ionic traces, which is nice. And then finally, you're going to want the rapid impacts, so that way you're reloading your grenade launchers when necessary a little bit more often. Plus, you'll have overload grenade launcher, overload SMG, and then use some of your abilities in order to take down champions as well. As far as the mods go, double kinetic siphon and an arc siphon I was running just because I want to generate orbs as often as possible to get my super as quickly as I possibly can. Then we've got the arc loader and kinetic dexterity. This comes in handy quite a bit. I was running a void focused damage type modifier for the activity I was running, so that's why I avoid damage resist, but run whatever damage resist you need for that activity. Arc reserves also comes in handy. Then we've got better already, which I think is a fantastic one that I have on almost all my builds. Arc holster and then arc weapon surge, and then time dilation and reaper as well. Now I could use my rally barricade a little bit more often. I don't use it as much as I probably should. This is something I forgot. I'm so used to running thruster. The problem is when you get to higher level content, the thruster for this build, unless I do throw on something like Dranger's Lash, just isn't as effective as I would personally like it to be. So that's where I struggle a little bit to remember to use my barricade to stay behind, because again, with that increased weapon reload speed and stability and range for my barricade with the Huckleberry, it can be quite devastating even at longer ranges. So that's something that I need to get better at with this build. But even without this, the survivability is very nice. You can get an overshield very frequently. You can heal pretty often with either melee or anything like that. And ultimately, the amount of damage resist you get from some of the things that you're running with this build also is very, very nice. I was something like 20 plus power levels below some of the activities that you'll see in the gameplay and still having quite a bit of success just because of how well this all works together. So definitely recommend trying this out for yourself, seeing how it feels, and if anything, making some builds with the Peacekeepers, because I think it's tremendous. I want to do another option with the Manticore. I saw one that looks absolutely hilarious. Teraba looks very, very good with it this season, and so there's a lot of possibility if you're a SMG lover who, to be honest, the SMGs that used to be super popular in PvE have kind of fallen off a little bit, so it's nice to see them back on the menu, especially as a Titan main. I'm going to start working on some Warlock builds next, so I'd love to know from you guys what of the Warlock exotic armors do you want to see me make some builds with? Which ones are you really excited about and you just can't quite get it to synergize? I'm definitely looking for some of that because I've been testing out some things so far. I've seen that Sanguine Alchemy is actually really, really good right now. A lot of the stasis focused exotic armors are also very good. So definitely let me know in the comments down below. My name is JoPa. Have a good one. I'll catch you all later.